Okay, so
Hello.
hi, hi everybody.
Good evening, everyone. So glad to be with you again.
Yeah, so great. So sorry, we're starting a little bit, well,
Behind schedule, late.
a
late
lot
today.
late behind schedule. We're behind schedule today. So sorry about that. And yeah, so we're here. So let's get the groove on. So today's questions and answers, and I hope you have questions to ask today. Truth is, we may not be able to take all the questions, but tomorrow it's happening live and direct at 4 p.m. West African time. We meet for a heart-to-heart closed-door session, different categories, married, singles, divorced, and mature singles tomorrow. So if you fall into, I guess I believe by now the links have been withdrawn, so no one can register anymore. But for those who have registered, we've been talking about it since Monday. For those who have registered, yay, see you tomorrow. It's going to be fantastic. I can assure you it's going to be out of this world. And at the same time, we're preparing for Sunday. Wow, it's going to be great. It's going to be grand. And I look forward.
Do you like always have to dance like that?
Well, I guess when you're full of the Holy Ghost.
I mean, just
An observation.
I mean, and it looks like the frequency of the yay is getting.
Yeah, because I'm sanguine.
Okay.
I'm sanguine. I'm excited. I'm full of the Holy Ghost, and I'm happy and I'm excited. I mean, the question is, why? I mean, you're excited and you don't even show it. It doesn't even show on your face. So how does that happen?
That's just what it is. No, nothing.
So I guess that's just what it is as well. I mean, I just have to, be excited and show the excitement. So you're welcome today, and it's going to be a great time. Maybe we'll start talking about what it's been like for the past few days. And we've been doing this. I mean, it feels like something, it comes with so much ease, like something we can do forever. All right. So anyway, we're starting the Adam and Eve Academy. All right. So you're single. We have the single for single people, and we also have for married people. So get ready. Tomorrow you're gonna hear more about it. So you can join us in the Adam and Eve Academy. It's gonna be lit. Okay. So many things we can't talk about, many details we can't get into. It's gonna be a training. And when you're done with that and you're married or you're single, I can assure you, you will never miss it again. And if you're married, you're going to learn skills and things that, how to make your marriage rock. Okay? So get ready, and you can ask about the Adam and Eve Academy. And I believe it's just something we need to do for this time to help many people to fulfill their marital destiny. All right, so how's it been? So please send in your questions. Today is questions and answers, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. I believe I saw one question. So you're going to be posting your questions on Facebook. Okay, so if you're on Facebook, post your question on Facebook. Please post your question on Facebook, and we will read it out from there and take it from there. Oh, all right. I can see some questions right here. Okay, I can see some questions. So the first question, are you ready, PV?
All right.
So the first question I see here is, when do you think is the right time to get into a dating relationship? When do you think is the right time to get into a dating relationship? First of all, I don't think there's anything called dating, so maybe we can talk about that. Why, I mean, maybe the question, before we answer this question, maybe the question should be, should a believer date or not, and why?
Yeah, I think we should, I think it's the use of words. Sometimes people call it dating, whereas they're referring to courtship.
Okay.
As far as Christians are concerned, the concept of dating is a concept of the world.
That's right.
World, so to speak, referring to non-church, right? It's a concept of let's try things out. Let's see whether we're compatible. Let's see whether things will work. Let's see whether we will flow. Let's, some even take it as far as, what am I even saying? It's the world anyway.
It's the world.
That compatibility will involve whether we're emotionally compatible, whether we're compatible in our careers, ultimately whether we're sexually compatible. It's a worldly and sinful concept. All right, so dating is from the world. Christians don't date. Christians have courtship, which means that I have the conviction to get into this relationship, and the goal is to make the relationship work,
so that we can get married.
So that's why it's funny when Christians are already in a relationship, and then the lady says, "He gave me a ring," or "He proposed to me." The question is, what were you doing before?
What were you doing before?
Christian relationship is not boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. The final destination is that you're getting married, and from the word go, you already know that that's what you're headed for.
Yeah.
All right. So dating is not the concept at all. The concept is courtship. That is a relationship that has a vision of ending up in marriage right from the beginning.
Yeah.
All right. So now to the question.
Okay. So I want to add something to that also. We need to understand that relationships are spiritual. Yes, it has the natural component, but you see, I mean, we're not even smart enough to make the right decision. If I wanted to get into a relationship by myself, all right, based on parameters and all of those things and natural things, I wouldn't have married my husband, and I bet he may not have married me as well. So it's very funny when we think you can make a decision. You see, God gives you a spouse not based on your today, but based on your future, based on who you're going to be in the future, and based on who your spouse is going to be in the future. I know you guys may think I'm crazy, but that's the truth. All right? So God will give you a spouse that doesn't look like it. You don't look like it. You just have to learn to trust God. You just have to learn to follow God. So when you're talking about dating and you're saying, we want to test things out and see if this is really going to get serious, I blame the women that allow a guy to date her. Because he's going to date you and he's going to date somebody else and then compare all of you and make his decision based on some flimsy natural rules or whatever it is. All right, I believe people should be led, and then courtship is based on, let's not prove that leading. Yes, we are committed and we're going somewhere from the beginning, but you see, dating really, like P.B. said, is a worthy term. So the question now is, when do you think is the right time to get into a relationship?
Right time is when you're mature. All right time. I think the first thing is, the right time is when you're mature enough for a relationship that is spiritually mature enough to get in a Christian relationship. You can be 50, like I usually say. You can be 50 and not be mature. You can be 60 and not be mature. All right? Marriage is not for spiritual babies. That's when you get in a relationship.
Yeah, so how do you know you're mature?
Well, I think, again, that's why we need mentors. That's why we need pastors that would also be able to. People actually, the funny thing is that recently I've had lots of the young people asking me, do you think I'm ready for a relationship right now? And I always tell them, if you have to ask that question, then you're not ready. All right? If you need to ask that question, I think that will help somebody. If you need to ask the question, am I ready for a relationship now? It's an indication that you are not ready. When you're ready, I think you know it. I think you know when you're ready. It's like you're in a season and everything around you is pointing to the fact that you are ready for that next phase of getting into a relationship. I think when you're ready, you just know it.
Okay, and I think first of all,
you also know when you're not ready. I mean, how do I say it now? If, for example, you're in part 1, part 2, like you said,
that's it.
You're obviously not ready.
Yeah.
And then another way you can look at it is, if from the time you get in the relationship, you know that in the next 5 years you're not going to get married, that's an indication also that you're not ready.
Yeah.
You know, in the next 3, 4, 5 years, you will not be ready for
maybe
marriage.
Maybe not 3.
Well, 3 is not
like
bad.
5 years. Like 5 years.
But sometimes 3 years can become 5, 6, 7 years too.
Yeah, well, I mean, a vision.
Yeah.
Like we said, hope deferred, the Bible says, makes the heart sick. When the relationship goes on and on and on forever and ever, then you understand it kind of gets boring, and then you kind of you're tempted to try some certain things out and all of that. Now, like you said, it shouldn't be too long. When you know that there's no view of marriage ahead, then you know that there's no point. When you're not spiritually mature, then you know there's no point as well. All right. Now that's very important. That's very important. So when you know that you're not going to get married in the nearest future, there's really no point. And that's why I always tell people, you know what? Focus on growing. Focus on enjoying your life. Focus on enjoying where you're on the way to where you're going. Focus on developing yourself and finding yourself, and maximize your single or your detached season, because the time will come when you will get into a relationship and you won't be by yourself anymore. All right, another question is this. Is kissing in courtship right?
Obviously not. Kissing is not right in courtship for Christians, because kissing does not stand by itself. Kissing is actually part of foreplay, which is sex.
That's right.
Which is, in fact, kissing can be so passionate.
That's right.
It should be so passionate, but it's only meant for married people, because after kissing, there's the next phase.
That's right.
And there's the next phase, and there's the next phase, and emotions can really run amok, and before you know it, other things are happening. So you can actually say, okay, let's just kiss. It's not going to lead to anything. But the truth is that things get really heated up.
Yeah.
And before you know it,
I mean, kissing is foreplay. Kissing is part of sex. You can't separate kissing from sex. If you start kissing, you want more than kissing.
Yeah.
So keep it simple. Take out kissing. Hold hands, give Holy Ghost hugs, right? Side hugs, and hold hands and all, but hey, now we know that kissing is not allowed. A question, what's the longest you can be in a courtship? Well, there's no hard and fast rule to it. That's the truth. There's no hard and fast rule. But, when it comes to courtship, we still encourage, don't let it be too long if you can help it. Now, some people have entered that relationship and there's really nothing they can do. They just have to wait it out. When waiting it out, you need to be careful. You put parameters in place to ensure that, you don't cross the boundary, all right? But there's no hard and fast rule to how long. But it's just important that you see marriage in view, 4 years, 5 years, 3 years, but most important is the fact that you've got to be spiritually mature, emotionally mature, and you're able to handle relationship. I think the first test that God gave Adam before he gave him a wife was an emotional test. He brought all the animals. The first thing God said to him, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper. And then the next thing was he started to bring the animals. And then each of the animals, the Bible says Adam named each of the animals. It says he brought the animals to see what he would call it, what he would call them. And he named this one is dog, this one's cow, this one's goat, this one is this and this and this. And whatever he called them, that was it. And then God said, then God caused a deep sleep to come over, and then he brought his wife. As I saw it, as the Holy Spirit kind of enlightened that scripture to me, it was as if after God had initiated that it's not good for man to be alone, he now brought the dog. He brought the animals to see, is he going to call this my wife? Thank God God didn't choose the elephant as a woman. What would have happened? All of us would have been like half human, half elephant or something. But it was discerning enough to know that these all didn't pass. What am I trying to say? Emotional test is you pass your emotional test when everything you see in trousers is not maybe it's the one. And everything you see in skirt is not maybe she's the one. All right, you focus on God, and God will bring the right person at the right time. All right, there's another question here. Okay, I think we can
That's the same question. That's a different
that
question.
says, hi, Mom.
No, that's not.
Okay, do you want to go first?
All right. This one says, I'm 42 years old and still unmarried. I have prayed and prayed and cried and cried. I am tired of it. I feel you. And the person says, I feel there's something wrong with me. I want to just have a baby and forget the whole thing.
Wow.
Please advise.
Wow.
42-year-old, unmarried, prayed and prayed, cried and cried.
Now she's ready to just
I'm
go
tired.
out and just have a
I
baby
just want
at
a
least.
baby.
So she won't be all by herself.
Well, the first question I think is, will a baby solve the problem? I mean, that's just another question. I don't know whether...
Yeah, I guess that, I guess I understand that part, which is a very dicey one. Like, woman feels, I'm getting to that age where I shouldn't have babies anymore. Now, yes, so big, you know how women and kids, once you have a child, at least you're not alone. So you kind of feel like, at least I have someone that I love, someone that loves me, someone I call my own, at least. I don't want to die alone, and my child to get married and have kids and all of that. However, you see, once you do that, you're trying to say you don't trust God. And you need to, I understand how that feels, but we need to also get to that point where we say to ourselves, God is our all in all. And that if I have God, I have everything. And be satisfied with God and let that be enough. But you see, once you want to do things by your own power, remember what Abraham and Sarah did. God had given a promise to Abraham, and Abraham went to, then Sarah said, take my slave or my maid servant and sleep with her and let her have a child for you. And today what happened? That child has been a pain in our necks as believers, because that child has become like the father of, Islam and all of those things that have, But what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that, walk in the spirit and you'll not fulfill the lust of the flesh. Well, I understand what you mean, but at the same time, it doesn't make it right. A child needs both mother and father. Yes, I know divorce happens. I know things happen. Death separates parents from children and all of that. But you see, not to actually be intentional about having a baby out of wedlock. One, sex is wrong. Yes, I've heard people talk about we can do IVF or other things, other ways of having babies. But don't forget that God said, the God that He said, make them both male and female. And it takes a man and a woman to have a baby. It takes a mother and a father to raise a child. All right? And it's not something that should be done, selfishly. Because understand, the child you're going to give birth to is a human being. And, you can't use your selfishness or how you feel, what you want to mess up another human being's life. Do you understand? So I would say, you waited this long, wait. And most of the time, when you're at the verge of breakthrough, that's when you start getting restless. So wait it out and just trust God all the way.
All right. I think there, let me say a few more things about that question. I think it's there is no easy answer to that question.
That's true.
It's a very emotional thing.
Very true.
It's very emotional. It's very painful. And the interesting thing is that we're seeing more and more and more of that in our time.
Yeah.
We're seeing more and more single people that are of age. So it's a big challenge. And we're not trying to just trivialize it and just make it feel like it's something easy. It's not easy at all. But having said that, I know that how we respond to the challenges of life is also a function of our inner strength and our level of development. For some people, this is like a disaster. Life is going to come to an end. The real point is that if you stay in that negative state, what's going to be the impact on your life? Remember also that marriage is not the source of happiness.
That's right.
Yes, marriage is good. Marriage is enjoyable. Marriage can enhance your life, all right? But also remember that the flip side is that marriage is not meant to be the source of your happiness.
That's right.
Children are not meant to be the source of your happiness. So first of all, settle down and know that being married and having children will not make you happy. You can be married and have the children. So first of all, you've got to be happy. So because the fellow said, I've cried and cried. Now wipe your tears away. Crying will not solve the problem. Crying will not solve the problem. All right. So now what do? Focus on your development. Do you have a pastor? Now keep on saying that you have a pastor, you have a church, you have people that can support you through that process. You have people that can pray with you, because there are so many sides to this thing as well. And do you even know how to pray? Do you know how to pray? Do you know how to pray the prayer of supplication? Do you know how to receive from God? Do you know how to receive direction? So many things. That's why I said this is not an easy and direct question. If you don't have a pastor, please go work with your pastor on this matter.
That's true.
All right? And if you don't have a pastor, that's one of the problems then.
That's true. Another question says, my question is, when you say marriage is based on the law of weakness, so is it that as I am a spiritual lady and a man who is not really spiritual or have a VV prayer life, just going to church once in a while, and is asking to marry me, is it his weakness? And am I supposed to? So it's saying that when you say marriage is based on the law of weakness, so she is spiritual and there's a man who is not spiritual that is asking her to marry.
That way.
Is that his weakness?
No, it's not. That's an interesting one.
Am I supposed to help him get better because I'm stronger in that aspect? No, that's a totally different thing.
Because there's an express instruction that do not be unequally yoked with an unbeliever. Right now, we're not saying this one is an unbeliever, but it's also an unequal yoke.
Yeah.
To be married to someone who is not spiritual. The problem is that you can't really vouch for the person. You can't really say that this person is going to change because you can't change anybody. Right? So I think getting a relationship with that person is taking a very big risk.
Yeah. So we're not talking about weaknesses that are not this one's an unnecessary weakness. All right. We're talking about weaknesses, not even character. Don't hide. You can't cover for somebody's character. But I'm talking about somebody is good with saving, the other person is not. Somebody is good with administration, the other person is not. Somebody is not. Somebody is. I'm talking about differences in how we see life and how we do life in that sense. Maybe someone doesn't take quick steps. The other person makes decisions fast. No, those are the kind of things we're talking about, not spirituality, please. That is totally out of it. All right. That's right. I love this. Somebody said, if the person with the question PV and PD are answering right now is watching and reading comment, please trust God. He will show up. I have a friend who just got married at 48 and she had a baby at 50. For real. Glory to God. All right. So another question. We have loads of questions here, but we may not be able to take all the questions, but we'll take as many as we can, and then tomorrow we'll take the other questions. All right. And I believe that. Thank you, Mama T. Thank you very much. That's so true. Just trust God, just trust God. Another says, people say bad habits or being too picky can keep you single for long. Is this true? Bad habits or being too picky can keep you single for long.
Bad habits, how?
That's all the person said.
Being too picky certainly can. Especially when God is actually leading you.
Yeah, it depends, because being picky, when it comes, maybe everybody coming your way,
yeah,
maybe
when you
they're
say
not
being
spiritual.
Picky, some people have some standards, more like some qualities.
I'm saying try to qualify.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. Yeah, so basically when people say, being picky or, what they actually mean sometimes is that maybe I want him to be tall, he's not tall, or I want her to look this certain way. I want her to be fair, she's not fair, she's dark, and things like that. All right, if that's what you're talking about, then that's certainly wrong. That would slow you down, and you may miss out on God's best.
Very true. Very true.
So there's how do I say this now? Because some people are just so focused on that natural side of the looks and so many other
does
things.
he have money? Does he have a car? Does he have his house and all of those things? And that's been too, or he's not tall enough. He's too short. He's too, I don't like his surname and all of that. And that's
there are myriad of natural things.
And there are myriad of natural things.
Yeah.
You understand? So being picky is making a decision based on natural things, and not going with God's will. because you're looking at natural things. Yes, that is picky because nobody is perfect and no man is perfect in that sense.
Is it being picky as well when the person's, for example, the person's English is terrible? on a funny side, years ago, there was this lady in our church. There was a year, 1 year like that. I was still in school, and then we went on. There was ASU strike, and then there was this very pretty lady, all right, and I was just trying to get friendly with her and all that. But the first sentence that she made, oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my.
Sent you running.
Send me packing, it was amazing.
Yeah, but you know how it is. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And beauty is a thing of inner beauty covers that really.
Covers the English and all that.
Covers the English. And that can be helped.
So how do you cope with English all your life?
That can be helped.
Okay.
The person can English teach, get a tutor. The guys here are all over the place laughing.
I mean, it was like someone poured cold water on me. I said, no way.
All right.
Anyway.
So, someone says, there's a man who wants to marry me. He does not go to church frequently, but something a church girl. He says he will support me all the way. Can I go ahead? Okay, but I'm a church girl. He says he will support me all the way. Can I go ahead?
I guess it's that
Run!
You're not, first of all, you're not serious. Let me just be that. You're very unserious. I mean, I just want to be blunt with that person. Just to get you back to your senses.
Yeah.
That fellow is not going to change. He's not going to change for anything.
I mean, he's already saying he'll support you. Meaning,
How can you even
don't worry. Whatever you choose to do, I will support you.
My concern is that ladies in particular tend to deceive themselves. You're deceiving yourself. You know the truth. You don't even need to ask this question, really. You know the truth. This guy is not going to change.
That's true.
And he doesn't have the capacity. We always talk about marriage as being a capacity thing.
That's right.
He doesn't have the capacity to help you. How can a man say, I'm going to help you, support you?
That's right.
Everything is going to change.
When
you get more fervent, and you should get more fervent, you should get more serious with time. When all that change, I said it that way just to jerk you back to your senses. To know that there is no way there.
That's true.
It is a no, it's a red flag. You need to run. You need to get yourself accountable to someone.
And that guy, apart from that guy is lying. Like, he's lying. I mean, the truth of the matter is, he just wants you, that's all. But at the end of the day, he's not going to, you can't especially on a walk like, you can't support somebody. It's either, the walk of Christ and the spiritual walk is not a stroll in the park. It takes over your life completely. So, it's either we are companions together going on a journey, but, you can't say you want to help me to go on a long journey. Do you understand? So, yes, it can't work at all. It can't work. Somebody said Lori wrong. Oh my God. All right. Someone says.
Some questions there as well. So
okay. I have it here. It says, does age matter?
All right.
Does age matter? Can the lady be older by a year or two? Essentially, can God tell you about your marital partner and the person is older?
Okay, you're saying that
can the lady be older than the guy?
Course.
Of course, age is just a number.
Age is just a number. Yeah, why not?
Age is just a number.
There are many.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Age is just a number. It's maturity that counts. Spiritual maturity, emotional maturity, and there are many people that are more mature than the women they are older than. So that's not a big deal at all. That's not a big deal at all. Okay, then another says, are you saying when we said don't date, are you saying we should just jump right into courtship? So it's not right for us to date without commitment to try things out?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, before you even, I think there would have been a degree of knowledge of that person.
Of relationship.
Yeah.
Let me answer that, please. Yeah. All right, they should have, and that's why the church is always just the safest place, really, to have a relationship. All right. So you need to be friends before the proposal and all of that. But I mean, you can't just come out of the blues and you're thinking you want to just take me out so that we can talk or whatever. So there's a level of, especially if you happen to be in the same church, I mean, you'd have seen the person, you'd have known the person. There are many people that know the person. I've seen the person getting involved in stuff. If you're not in the same church, all right, he's just not going to jump out of the blues at you at the same time.
Yeah.
So at least you'll be friends in a little measure, so to say, before getting to a relationship. But you see, the part of that is, as a woman, if you go on 1 day, 2 days, you'll fall in love with this guy, especially if the guy happens to fit into the bill of your natural way of thinking. For instance, if you like tall, dark, and handsome guys, and this guy is tall, dark, and handsome, and then you go out with him once, you're hooked. I mean, you're just hooked. So it's not going to be a matter of is it God's will or not anymore. I mean, you're just generally in love with him. And that's why you see, I believe that, you know, there's a way that God leads. There's just a way that God leads. But you see, dating, I go out, imagine, look at this scenario. We go out to eat once, and then twice, 3 times, you know, and then the next time, then we realize he's not the one, I'm not the one. Then I go to the same place with another man, he's not the one. How many men am I going to sample? How many men will sample me to before they decide I'm the right person?
And also there is a place of safety when you're in a community.
Exactly.
And even if you don't know that person, someone in your network
should
be able to vouch for that person. You know, that's what I think. Because the person didn't just come from heaven, or didn't just drop down from heaven. The person, you found the person in a network.
True.
Or through some community, most likely church community.
True.
So somebody somewhere has information about the guy that you can work with.
Very true.
What do you think?
Yeah, I believe in investigating. You have to investigate, you know, you have to investigate the person that's walking up to you and coming up to you. You have to know where is he from or where is she from or whatever, especially, of course, the home church, the home, and then the church, the community. You must know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. Nobody just dropped from heaven, so to say. I mean, the whole wisdom in this is, you know, if I'm going to date you, then it means that or court you or go out on a date in that sense. It means there's a level of, perhaps, there's a level of positivity in that. But the fact that we're dating before we decide, okay, then the guy now proposes after a year. You know, how am I going to say I'm dating someone? That's why sometimes you ask people and you say, you know, are you in a relationship? And they don't know what to say. And they're like, well, it's complicated. Or, well, not really. So I'm like, what do you mean? It's either you're in or you're not in. So what do you mean by not really? Those are the complicated things. And see, some bad guys like that we're dating. You know, dating is a safe way to say we're not really in a relationship. So I'm not committed, but we are in a relationship enough to hang out. Yeah. But we're not in a relationship enough to be serious with one another or with you. And I believe every lady should have some level of value for themselves or some sense of value to say, guy, if you're going to be with me, decide, know what you want to do. What exactly are we doing? What exactly do you want? But don't hang around me like a bee on a honey. Don't hang around me like a mosquito, like a fly. Let me know what you're doing. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you're saying. Don't trick me. Don't put me in a mess. Because women's hearts are vulnerable. Whether you're married or you're not.
What if a guy says, you know what? Let's not tell anybody about it. Let's just take some time to just know each other.
Let's not tell anybody.
Yeah,
no, I'm not.
People do that.
I know, but I'm not going to just allow you to hang around me and then because you need to understand women, our composition. Women will fall in love. Yeah. Beauty fell in love with beast. Women will fall in love with the devil. I'm telling you. If you hang around with the devil for enough time and he plays the right cards and he says the right things, even though you know it's the devil, you'll fall in love with him. And that's why we don't make decisions based on how we feel. Because you need to understand feelings are fickle. You don't make decisions based on how you feel, but based on the leading of the Holy Spirit and principles from God's word.
Look at this. This one says, what if you were involved with someone who claims to be spiritual and still doing the things of the world, like having a weakness for women, and can't stay with one? This person is an elder in church. He keeps saying what he does is between him and God. He acts like he is above everyone.
Now that person is obviously not spiritual.
Yeah.
And you see, the Bible said, by their fruits you shall know them. So it's not what I say that matters, the fruits I'm bearing.
Yeah.
All right. So when you look at the fruits that are flowing out of my life, you can tell if I'm spiritual. Now this man is not spiritual. I don't know how he became an elder or what he's backsliding, if he's born again at all. But this person that you described here is not serious at all and is not spiritual. All right. So that's what I think here. You have I have a question here.
Go ahead.
All right. Someone says, I once heard a coach say it's okay to date many people. Oh my God. It's okay to date many people at once.
Like that's sampling.
At the same time. So yeah, I have 5 ladies. I have 5 ladies that I'm thinking about. So I can take you out on Monday, take you out on Tuesday. I mean, first of all, the guy must be really boxed up. He must have a lot of money to spend. Because you take me out, and I'm not cheap. You take me out, and then on Monday, you take out on Tuesday, you take everyone out, and then you try. I know it's you don't just take us at one time. All right. It says like go on dates with many people until you make a choice with one person. Now this is crazy. Now this is really crazy. The coach is crazy, and whoever is believing this is crazy as well. Of course, it's a no. That's not the way God operates. That's definitely not the way God operates. That's not God's method of operation. All right? That's totally wrong. That's totally wrong. All right, do you have more questions?
Yeah, I think a community solves a lot of this, because I fully understand when people say, I need to at least have some information. But if you're in a community, that community can be a safe and provide you that safety. You know, and people can easily say, you know what, I know this fellow. I mean, this person is spiritual. I can vouch for this person, like that pastor that called you.
Exactly.
You know, to investigate.
Exactly.
You know, I think there's a lot of safety in that. But the truth is that you're not going to have all the information. You know, the important thing is that you feel that God is leading you, and then you have the safety of that community.
Very true. I think, you know, we need to use our heads when it comes to relationship. Don't get carried away by this guy has a nice car, or carried away by this girl that has all the nice figures. She looks like a model and all of that. Don't get carried away. You've got to be very intentional when it comes to relationship, because this is not a joke. This is a lifelong thing. And you see, someone says, a pastor said once, when you marry the wrong person, half of your potentials are totally gone already. All right? So that will not work.
There's another question here. What would you say to a woman proposing to a man? Would you have ever proposed to a man?
I don't think so. For one, I don't think so. And, well, I guess for a few people, I think it has worked for them. I think. However, I guess the way it works from the beginning, we always have to go back to the beginning. From the beginning, Adam was the one that recognized Eve and said, "You are now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh." Like you said yesterday, men are hunters. Now, when you deprive the man of the joy of hunting and conquering, you know, he loses interest. It feels like I didn't pursue. There's a level of pursuit that a man does. You know, I tell ladies, for instance, when you're in a relationship, don't go to the man's house all the time. Let him come to your house. Let him pay the price. I mean, you're going to move into his house when you're married. So while you're courting, let him do all the visitation. Once in a while, yes, you may go, but do you understand? Let it not be, oh, baby, you know.
But what about some guys that you and I know that we met those brand of guys, in the past. Guys that it's not like the guy is not interested, but the guy just cannot propose.
But the
to
woman
a woman.
still cannot propose. That's the place of the pastor, sir.
Okay.
So that's the place of the pastor. That's why everybody needs pastors and communities. There are times that a guy cannot see, right? There are times that, or some guys are just too shy,
Some guys cannot,
laid back, cannot open their mouth and talk. But you see the point, why would I want to be?
There was a case like that the lady eventually had to say, I know you want to say something.
So but at least she drew it out of his mouth.
But I also think there are things that ladies do to show that they are interested.
I think the pastor is always a safety net. I think, if a lady discovers she likes a guy, all right? If a lady discovers she likes a guy and the guy is just not that kind, don't go to the guy.
So the lady goes to the pastor informs the guy.
The pastor doesn't inform the guy. PV, now.
No, I'm just saying
and the pastor doesn't inform the guy, but the pastor is able to call the guy and say, what's up? How far? Let's give them a secret.
That's what I mean.
So the pastor can kind of intervene and try to see, and try to help him to see. But at the end, and even coach him to say, guy, can't you open your mouth? This is how you do it. This is how you do it. You see, I know pastoral ministry is so important in our day-to-day life that even in a case like this, when a man can't open his mouth to talk to a lady, the pastor cannot, propose for him, but he or she can guide him on what to do because sometimes the guy too is interested, but he's too shy and he feels like she won't be interested. But when there's a pastor or a middle ground, the person is able to say, hey, is there anybody, what do you think about this person? Some people are laughing here. I just kind of help. I mean, you've had to do such stuff. We've had to do some stuff to help some guys that refuse to see, if you know what I mean.
Okay, there's a question here. What do you do when your fiance complains about your cooking and what's that? Platin. All right, sure. And he also has some kind of friends who say things like women shouldn't argue with their men. They should be submissive. These things have repeatedly caused issues in our relationship. All right? P.S. Is a born-again Christian.
I'll say that relationship is going nowhere. If it's going anywhere, it's trouble. It's trouble. Because first and foremost, any guy whose idea of value that you have is based on your cooking or cleaning or all of those things, first of all, he's going to have a lot of issues with you moving ahead in life. All right? Secondly, his friends are like, don't argue with him. Why can't you argue with a man? Arguing it's not a bad thing. It's about you're blending. All right? But you see, he's a male chauvinist. He's a male chauvinist, like my daughter will say. He's a male chauvinist. And, at the end of the day, he already smells of trouble. You're not even married. There's already the issue. You can't cook well. You can't do this well. You can't do this well. You understand? I remember when P.B. and I we just got into a relationship. And then he asked me once, he says, can you cook? Oh, he got it that day. And I said, what do you mean, can I cook? I said, when we get married, you'll find out. I said, except you want to marry me because of my cooking. Do you understand? And he never asked again. When we got married, I cooked for as long as I could.
I knew he was coming anyway.
Like, how could he have asked me if I could cook?
I knew he was coming. I knew she wasn't going to cook nothing.
But when we got married, I was cooking when I had all the time.
For a short period.
When I had the time.
For a short period.
And then we got someone to start cooking.
I wasn't expecting anything. Really,
But the good thing was, well, I guess not too many guys, but that's why I love my husband, because it's just not too fussy about stuff like that. And because, when we got married, I'd already told him before we got married, I said, I'm not going to be a regular woman. I'm not going to be a regular woman in that sense. And it was okay with it.
She's quite a lot more irregular than I thought.
In what ways?
I mean, just irregular everywhere.
Oh my God, like in a bad way or in a good way?
Well, not bad because, you know, we don't have any problem, you know,
That's
but
true.
irregular in the sense that people won't even ask whether I'm eating.
Oh my God! On global TV?
She won't even ask whether I'm eating. You know, it's one thing that, okay, the food is there, maybe someone can organize it for you, but people won't even ask. I can't remember last time you asked me.
Yeah, well.
So maybe the next 20 years will be different.
Maybe the next 20 years. Maybe the next 20 years we'll work on that.
But I think it's always so amazing how some men, why the food matter is just so...
It's like an issue.
You know they say that the way to a man's heart is his belly. I mean, I think it's, I don't know.
Yeah, but if you also remember, you told me something many years ago. You said, you know what? You said, you know, you are struggling. Don't bother. There's one thing that you must get right.
Yeah.
You know, and that one thing, nobody else can do it for me.
And
so
it's true. People can do other things now.
focus on that 100% and